Hello, everyone. We're back live. Our next presentation features Cristina Molina Maestro, Senior CRO Specialist at Verifone. Cristina has over 10 years of experience in high-performing cultures and ecosystems such as digital, e-commerce, tech, and web industries. Today, Cristina will discuss how looking beyond conversion rates can lead to optimizing your payment processes, drive growth for your online business, and increase customer loyalty. Hi, Cristina. I'm really excited to have you join our stage.
Hey, Shannon, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. Just want to make sure that you are seeing my screen.
Yes, we're good to go.
Amazing. Then let's kick off. So, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cristina Molina, Senior CRO Specialist at Verifone, and in this talk, I'm going to walk you through a new concept or a new generation of CRO that we are currently focusing on at Verifone to grow businesses beyond pure conversion rate. So in today's agenda, we have the relationship between the shopping cart and conversion rate optimization, how to build your optimization strategy focusing on email optimization, authorization rates, and automatic renewals. And we'll finish with some key takeaways and any questions you might have. So let's start with the shopping cart and CRO. So first of all, allow me to kick off this session with a concept. Pretty basic concept, but at the end of the day, I think it's important to set some basics. So conversion rate optimization, or CRO, is the practice of increasing the percentage of users who perform a desired action or conversion on a website. So basically, let's imagine that we have our purchase funnel. And according to the definition that I just gave, conversion rate is equal to the number of orders or the conversion that we are looking for or that we want to measure divided by the amount of traffic. So we can calculate the general site conversion rate or more specific conversion rates for a specific page. And based on this and other metrics, measure the performance of our web. So the tendency when we start planning an optimization strategy is to focus on optimizing the user experience in the web, reducing the exit rate from the purchase funnel, reducing the cost per acquisition, and increasing the annual recurring revenue and customer life value. And like previously mentioned, we can do that by looking at the data collected from the different pages in the funnel. However, if you have had the chance to see any of the CRO team's webinars from Verifone, or if it's on your to-do list after today, hopefully, you'll see we are a bit specialized / obsessed with the last mile of the funnel. And this is where we put most of our efforts in the shopping cart. So here I'm going to give you the formula for an optimized online checkout. There is a lot of work behind this, a lot of research, data analysis, A/B testing, iterations, and so. And it's a very interesting topic, but probably for another day, I'm afraid. So to build this optimized online shopping cart, we need to have transparent pricing and policies, and a streamlined and user-friendly design, localization and language support, a geo-customized cart flow, and offer multiple payment options. Now you can go back to your shopping cart and see if you check all of these checkboxes. You can look at your data in terms of conversion rate, revenue, traffic, and break it down and see how it's doing in terms of the payment methods that you're using, the countries that you are currently focusing on, languages, and make sure that you have it as optimized as possible according to these tips. But today we have other questions to answer. Questions like, what else can we do to grow the business? Are we limited to the shopping cart? How can we expand our optimization strategy, but still link it to this last mile of the funnel? So you probably have noticed that many conversion rate optimization strategies concentrate heavily on percentages, average, and benchmarks. So while improving conversion rate is the ultimate goal of CRO, a purely numerical approach might not get us very far. So it is important to take a holistic approach and to put people at the front and center by trying to understand what drives them, what stops them, and what is that persuades them to convert when they are so advanced in the process. So with this said, let's dive into how to expand our CRO strategy. Engage, convert, and retain. 3 words that have come with us while expanding our focus. So with those words in mind, we started a process of identifying aspects we could influence. And in this is what we saw, what we identified, that users were abandoning the cart and that we had already a lead management strategy in place. So we could optimize some key assets like the emails they were receiving and observe the impact on conversion rate and revenue. We also identified some unauthorized transactions, and when we looked into the payment metrics, we realized that by increasing the authorization rate, we could boost the revenue. And last but not least, we realized that sometimes the subscriptions models were a bit unclear, and through that, we should look into the subscription itself and directly relate that into the metrics like the renewal rates, and in this case, to increase automatic renewals. So let's start with the email optimization. I've mentioned how we have identified those users who, despite our efforts on having an optimized shopping cart, are abandoning the checkout process, and how we want to take a step further by implementing a lead management strategy with optimized emails to kind of like to try to re-engage users who left their carts unfinished. Let's start from the beginning. Let's imagine we have a potential customer that loads up the shopping cart, navigates to the checkout page, and then poof, they vanish. So important to keep in mind that a user in the checkout doesn't always correlate to a final sale. We can think about it from the point of view of, well, okay, these aren't lost sales, but opportunities to win back these customers. After all, they were interested in filling their cart, like a positive attitude. So the first step will be to understand why they are leaving. Don't worry, do not take it personal. It's not you, it's your cart. Some reasons could be high additional costs, like taxes, shipping costs, forced account creation, hidden fees, security concerns, website performance issues, inadequate return policy, lack of payment options, or excessive selling. Or maybe they were simply shopping when they shouldn't have. Basically, identifying the reason behind cart abandonment will help your business implement the right approach to winning back your customers and build brand loyalty. So what do we do now? An effective way to convert abandoned shopping cart customers into sales is by setting an email follow-up flow. In this case, it is recommended to send 3 emails to the shoppers if they abandon the checkout. And if the shoppers has shown interest by opening one of the emails, you could opt them into more follow-ups. So the first email, it will be a basic follow-up, sent 3 to 5 hours after the trigger. The goal here is to remind the customer about their interest in your product and gently nudge them to finish their shopping. The second email will be another basic follow-up sent 1 day after the trigger. The goal is to make easy for the customer to return to their shopping cart without having to go through the entire purchasing process again. And the third email will be a promotional follow-up sent 3 or 4 days after the trigger. The goal in this last one is more to give the customer a reason to return, basically providing a discount to help build brand loyalty. Promotional emails might be a bit sensitive. At the end of the day, you are offering a discount on your price. So here you have some tips depending on who is your audience, B2C or B2B. So sending times for B2C. Avoid weekends. People don't spend, hopefully, as much time checking emails. Also avoid Mondays because inbox could be full and your email will be lost in the noise. The ideal time to send emails is between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Sending times for B2B. Avoid weekends as well. Tuesdays and Thursdays are known to be the best performing days, and the ideal time to send emails is after 6 p.m. or between 11:30 and 1 p.m. So previously I've given you the formula for an optimized checkout, and now I'm going to give you the key ingredients for creating a successful abandoned cart email template. So first, make sure you have a powerful subject line. Evoke a sense of urgency using phrases like, don't miss out, or don't forget your cart is waiting. Personalize. I cannot be more in agree with Stephen. Personalize, 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 personalize. List the abandoned items along with product images if you have them, and remind customers that the items have limited availability. Add a clear CTA or several ones. The CTA should be prominent, direct, and easy to understand. The CTA button should guide customers to the checkout page or a product information page. Add visuals. Product images, as I mentioned, and videos help customers visualize the items in their cart and make an informed decision. Highlight product features. Emphasize high quality materials and the selection of color or sizes the item is available in, if applicable. And offer technical support. We don't know why they abandoned. So ask if the customer had trouble completing their purchase and offer an alternative payment options like or a live chat support or other type of resolution. So here's some optimized email examples for the first and the second emails. So it's just here, I just put one template because both first and second email will be a basic follow-up. So you can customize it a little bit, but more or less we'll have the powerful subject line, the product that they left in the cart, and then the third follow-up with the promotion will be like either with one product or with several ones, depending again what the customer left in the shopping cart. And to finish up with the email optimization, I found interesting to see some metrics related to the abandoned cart flow. These numbers are from Klaviyo benchmark that I found. So an average 50.5% it's the open rate, a 60.25% average for click rate, and a 3.33% for conversion rate. Basically, the users who actually completed the transaction. And now, before jumping into the next topic, and since I feel like I have given you already a bit of information, so let's take a second to breathe and reset. I want you to think about the following question. How many emails do you receive on a daily basis? And I have to say that this GIF of the squirrel always makes me laugh because every time that I see it, I feel like that feels more like the inbox that you will see when you are back from holidays rather than the one that you will find on a Monday or a Tuesday, hopefully. Anyway, in my case, I was trying to think, and since I've been building this presentation, I was trying to pay attention to my inbox every day and to see how many emails do I get. And honestly, I lose count. 20, 30, 50, like I receive a lot of them. And the important question here is like, how many do you actually open? How many do you open? How many do you just remove and delete from your inbox without even blink? So it's one of those things to kind of think about and see, okay, my customer already showed interested on my product. Let's take that as an advantage and let's customize and prepare something that they will really want to open and that it will make them finalize that purchase. Okay, so with this in mind, let's move on into the next topic that will be the authorization rates. So nowadays, there are several ways to pay online, from digital wallets to cryptocurrencies. However, I think cards remain at the top of our minds for now. When payments are made via cards, the amount is temporarily put on hold until the cardholder's institution releases or rejects the transaction. So authorization rate is the percentage of merchants' transactions that get approved during the authorization process. As a business, you will want a high authorization rate or the total number of successful transactions because it means more revenue coming into your company. So keep in mind that even a small authorization rate boost can lead to considerable revenue growth. Do you think that your authorization rate is low? Here's some reasons why it might be. Network declines. This comes from banks as they can halt and deny consumer payments to protect their clients from fraud and other unauthorized transactions. Cross-border payments. You may have difficulties with transactions made outside of the cardholder's country. One issue comes, for example, from variance in currencies. Data loss, PSD2, multi-factor authentication. Basically, authentication, and I think that we all have a lot of those in our day-to-day. Authentication requires 2 steps. Something the cardholder has, like a phone, or something that the cardholder knows, like a password, or that it's unique for them, like a fingerprint or our faces. Inferior fraud screening and prevention. When potential fraud is detected, a card will be declined to protect the client and their funds, obviously. State of technology. What do all have in common? Consumers, merchants, card issuers, and banks are bound by the technology they use. Unfortunately, some are still using outdated technology where security tends to be less robust, translating into higher fraud rates and fewer features supporting authorization. And network availability. Your network must be able to support the volume of shoppers. Network downtimes, especially during high traffic times, means more incomplete transactions. So here are some best practices to improve your authorization rate. Optimize your payment flow. It needs to be easy, quick, and seamless. Keep your payment or checkout page as simple as possible. Responsive design is critical no matter what device the customer is using. And of course, sometimes errors may appear. So have an easy and intuitive system that spots and highlights missing or incorrect information before a customer attempts to finalize the purchase. Accept different payment methods. Offer alternative payment methods like the digital wallets. It's also critical to offer localized payment options and consider accepting other payment methods like cryptocurrency or buy now, pay later. This can work really well for certain businesses and customers. Manage fraud rates. We all know that fraud is out there and that it comes in many forms. Here, a combination of preventative steps, including validation keys, flagging negative customers, and device information. It's also powerful if your team is trained to spot and prevent phishing attacks. I don't know about you, probably you do have them, but every time we have more and more of these security training sessions, I think that it's key because at the end of the day, we need to be very well informed and up to date on how all of these attacks are happening. So yeah, this is really important to have. Improve your authentication mechanisms. When it comes to authentication, you have several options. Tokenizations, where your customer's private data is turned into a token. Multi-factor authentication, where the customer is required to verify their identity in more than one way, usually via a password or a push notification. Comparison, that simply compares your customer's information to their bank's information to confirm their validity. And finally, validation keys, such as phone calls, text, emails that give the customer a code to use that will confirm their identity. And last but not least, use a reseller model. Consider using a reseller model if you are selling cross-border. They work with local acquirers and processors and can really make a change in the authorization rates. It will be more likely that the payment goes through and is approved. So just a quick recap. Optimize your payment flows, accept different payment methods, manage fraud, improve your authentication mechanisms, and use a reseller model. Now, our next topic is related to subscriptions and more specifically, as I mentioned at the beginning, with the subscription renewal rates. I really like to think about how the subscription industry has rocketed in the past years. We have subscriptions literally for everything, and we could be speaking about this business model for hours. Which ones are our favorite ones? How many do we have? Which is that subscription you cannot live without? I would say that is not necessarily my favorite one, but the one in the top right corner is for sure the one I use every single day. Anyway, I know everyone here probably is using the subscription as well, and probably like you know what they are, but just to put a brief definition to it, basically it's customers paying a recurring fee in order to access or receive a product or a service. The topic was related to critical rates in the business model, which is the renewal rate itself. So what is it? Well, it's the percentage of subscriptions that renew at the end of the billing term based on the total number of subscriptions that are eligible for renewal at the start of the billing term. What we have observed that this rate can vary depending on how the renewal is set. So it could be a manual renewal or it could be an automatic renewal. Our focus goes to this last one, automatic renewal. And basically the main difference between these two is that with the manual renewals, we have the hassle of having to remember that the renewal needs to be done, access the subscription platform, and manually renew it. However, the automatic renewal is the billing process where the customer subscription is set to renew automatically, like the word itself says, at the end of their subscription period. Could be weekly, monthly, annually, or any other agreed upon period of time, without the customer having to take any action. And in line with this, I thought it was very interesting to give you these numbers. We have pulled this from an internal benchmark. And so you can see here that the average of automatic renewal rates ranges from 80% to 90%, while the manual one goes from 30% to 60%. So this is why we're looking to boost the automatic renewals. However, before relying purely on automatic renewals to retain our clients, there are other factors to take into account. For example, before the checkout, we need to make sure that you have clear prices and packages options, flexible plan and clear benefits between them, and that we have free trials if they are applicable. You have a good example in the right with the subscription plans from Kanban, where they differentiate each plan in a way that it's very easy to see the differences between the different plans and to start using the product with the free trial. Also, in the checkout, you need to count with transparent billing and pricing. You need to state clearly the amount the user is going to pay, reduce uncertainty as much as possible, for when the user is going to be billed, and specify how the billing process is linked to the trial period, again, if applicable. So automatic renewal goes hand in hand with automatic billing, which involves the automatic charging of the customer's credit or debit card or another payment method of their choice in order for the customer to have access to the product or service for the next billing cycle. So we need to make sure this process is as clear and as simple as possible. Here we have a very good example that I really like to use from Duolingo, because I really like how they provide all this billing information and how they collect the payment method and how they relate everything. For me, it's a very transparent and intuitive checkout and process. So yeah, just a good example to have. Also, some examples on how we can display this information in the shopping cart. We have here one of our checkouts, and you can see in the left, we have the auto renewal option set to on. So you also have the edit button, and if you click there, this option is going to trigger a pop-up where you can read and understand what this means, like what the auto renewal implies, and you can switch this option to off and turn it off. And you will basically be able to make an informed decision. Another example where we can see a bit more of the information related as well to the product is here. First, something that we did and that we also are keeping the testing in our heads all the time is you can play with the text and see what relates better to your audience if instead of edit is disable or disable, on and off, yes or no, like play a little bit with the copy. You can adapt, you can state the subscription period in the product name as well, something that is highly recommended, just to remind the user what they picked, and also, if possible, indicate in the checkout next to the subscription when the subscription will be renewed and how much the user will be charged. So just a quick recap on this. The subscriber payment method is stored and is automatically charged at the end of the billing term. And the subscriber must be able to disable the auto renewal during the purchase of the initial subscription and can cancel it at any time. So before wrapping up with the key takeaways, I just wanted to take a moment to call out the team that makes possible all the optimization strategies that we come up with. So because behind every great CRO program and CRO expert, there is an equally great UX team, an analytics team, a development team, and a product team. A quick round of applause for them, because I think that it's very important to mention that we should be working with these teams as one to get the results that we really want to see. So now finally, to wrap this session up, some key takeaways that hopefully will connect everything we have seen. So the expansion of CRO marks a significant shift towards holistic approach to customer engagement and revenue growth. And it's not only about enhancing conversion rates, but also improve the overall customer experience, loyalty, and lifetime value. So for me, it's very important to keep these words all the time in our heads and to resonate with them when we are thinking about where to expand our optimization strategies, where to look for other aspects to optimize. So yeah. So that would be it from me. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have enjoyed the session. You can scan this QR code to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect. Thank you again. And I think that back to Shannon to see if there are any questions.
Yes, thanks, Cristina. That was a super interesting presentation. Thanks so much for sharing all of that information with us today. We do have a few questions. So this first one is kind of a two-part question. What is like a good authorization rate that I can expect?
Okay, so I honestly cannot give you a number on that because it depends a lot. Like, honestly, I made this question myself and I received the same answer that I'm going to give you. It depends. It really depends because it depends on the country that you are doing your transactions. It depends on the payment methods that you are using. We have seen different authorization rates depending on that. Like I could tell you, like the credit cards when they are coming from credit and debit cards, when they are coming from major networks, have typically very good authorization rates, and also the digital wallets. But I would say that in order to understand that better, you will need to analyze your data to see what are your current authorization rates, and then to see out of all the reasons why it might, maybe you find it that it's not very high, and you can make a little bit of research and see, okay, like for my type of business and in the countries that I'm currently doing business, I think that it should be around this number, like 80, 85, 90, 95. So, and then understand what are the payment methods that you are using, because maybe you want to highlight or try to promote in your checkout other payment methods that might be more engaging in this area.
Right, yeah. And I think it also depends if the subscription is like a monthly term or annual, because with monthly, the credit card information is updated every month, and so the auth rates are higher. With annual, the card is may have expired during that 1 year term, and so the auth rates
Totally.
can be a little bit lower with that too. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I mentioned this was a two-part question. The second question was, what payment methods would you say have the highest authorization rates?
Okay, so I think that I kind of like answered that question when I was answering to the first part of the question. I would say again that it's like it really depends. We have seen that digital wallets are making really well. Also, this credit and debit card from the major issuers usually have also a very good authentication mechanism, so the authorization rates are quite high. Um, I would say that also if you are working with local payment methods, usually in that particular country, might have also a good acceptance and good authorization rate. So yeah, I would say like move around those.
Okay, great. And just so that in case not everyone's familiar with the term of digital wallet, can you give some examples of what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So digital wallets would be like Apple Pay, Google Pay. So yeah, like I think
Yeah,
that PayPal it's also kind of considered now, depending on the scenario, as a
right.
digital wallet. So yeah,
Perfect. Thank
you will
you.
have
Thanks so much.
associated already one of your credit cards or debit cards to them, so it's easier to get the transaction go through.
Yes, great. Another question came in about the cart abandonment emails at the
Hmm.
beginning of your presentation. So our audience members asking, what if we don't have the visitor's email address yet? Asking for it before they add items to a cart could result in them abandoning the shop. Can you speak to that?
So here, I would say that that depends. Obviously, if you don't have an email, it's very complicated to be able to send them one. In our case, the way that we triggered this lead management follow-up, it's at least they have had to fill in the checkout the email address for us to be able to trigger this series of emails. I would say that if your visitor is in other pages of your website, what you could do is trigger some sort of pop-up at the exit intent. Maybe you can try to collect that information or understand what they are leaving your page, because the strategy is going to be very different in depending on what is the stage of the funnel that they are. So the strategy when they are in the homepage for sure will not be the same one as when they are already in the shopping cart, like in the checkout page.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you. Another question is, what is a good approach for retry logic when the auto renewal charges don't go through, when they fail?
When the auto renewal charges don't go through. So I would say that we need to understand what happened there. So usually, as you mentioned, Shannon, probably it's because of your payment method has expired. Like if it was a credit card, a debit card, it might have expired depending on the period of the renewal. If I'm a big fan of the monthly one, because then it's very easy to control that expiration date. But when you have an annual subscription, it's much more likely that the payment method has expired. Um, so you can send an email, like if you're like, those are the retry emails of like, okay, this is something that we haven't mentioned, but along with the abandoned cart emails, we can have like unfinished payment emails, or that the
Mhm.
payment failed. And the logic behind it will be pretty similar. You can set a follow-up emails thread to see, okay, like I attempt for the first time, hey, your payment methods is not coming through. What is happening? Can you check, like, give a basic checklist? Like we have seen that, for example, like that your credit card is expired. And also something that we have seen with the drop on the automatic renewals is that sometimes the user forgot about them. So they forgot that they have that type of subscription. So the payment comes through and they might go directly into the bank to try to do the chargeback and see, or maybe you will be receiving like angry support calls from those clients. So we need to understand what are the reasons why the automatic renewal is coming down to see how to address them. But yeah, like I will for sure first look into, I think that the main point here is the expiration of the payment methods that they have used.
Right, right. So the cart abandonment email is if they don't click buy now and enter their payment information, but the unfinished payment email is if they went through that process, clicked buy now, showed intent to purchase, but their payment failed, like their card was declined.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
And another question about AI that's been a hot topic during this conference. Are you using AI in any of these processes?
I was sure that this question was going to come through. I was watching the end of Steven's presentation of we cannot be doing a presentation without talking about AI. And there you go. So we are currently not using AI, but we are planning and seeing how we can fit it into our strategy. So we are trying to find the right tools and the right like Chrome extensions or AI that is out there to see if we can use it to build a strategy on generating hypotheses for A/B testing and to by that to use it to build as well the roadmaps for optimization. So that way, I mean that is a big time consuming part of the work that we do. Like you have to begin to like analyze, like audit the website, understand like what is happening, see the data and so on, then come up with all the testing hypotheses and make it in a roadmap and like so if we can kind of collaborate, let's say, with AI for it to help us doing that, that would be a way to save us some time that we can dedicate into, for example, like here, to try to think about other aspects that we can expand our scope to. So for now, the idea will be to kind of start with that. As I mentioned, it's not still something that is happening, but we are planning on that. So yeah, like interesting big project to come.
For sure. And I think we have time for one last question from the audience. And someone's asked, what is the difference between conversion rate and authorization rate?
So they are two different completely things. So a conversion rate will be if you have, let's say, like you have 1,000 users that have came in your website, and out of those 1,000, just 20% convert. Okay, so it will be so you divide that, and you will see that your conversion rate is like a 2%. Okay, so basically, it's the orders or the conversions that you have divided by the amount of users, and then the authorization rate would be from those orders, those 20 orders that you got, how many actually got authorized, got processed. And usually the ideal world would be that out of those 20, the 20 of them got authorized. But as I have explained, something might have happened, like maybe the car was not working or there was a downtime and something happened with the technology behind and it didn't come through or um, there are a lot of different
Or
scenarios
their
where
card's
this
maxed out?
can,
Yeah, that can happen.
yeah, I mean, it's like, or suddenly you close the window. Like sometimes it's the silliest thing that you just close the window before the transaction came in, and because you thought that it was already done. So, but yeah, like that would be the difference.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Well, thanks, Christina. This has been super interesting and informative. Appreciate you sharing all of your expertise with us. We're going to take
Thank
a
you
quick
so
break
much.
now and be back with a session on UX principles, which you also talked about having, a clear user experience and the importance of the UX team. So that'll be
It's all
great, a great
related.
segue
So,
into our next
yeah.
presentation. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Shannon. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.